welcome to NetMums Chat. We're here to talk about the thorny issue of working to pay nursery fees. So, I know we've all been in a similar situation where we've basically had to arrange childcare in order to be able to facilitate our work. I did some homework this morning. Did you know that in the UK we pay more for childcare than any other country in the world?
I think that's ridiculous.
And did you know the average cost of 2 preschoolers in part-time childcare in the UK costs £368 a week, which amounts to over £1,700 a month. Now, do your maths. You're going to have to be earning quite a lot before it makes any sense. Well, I say before it makes any sense to go back to work, but actually you've made a good point on this, which is that even if you're paying more for childcare than you're earning, you see that as an investment in your career, don't you?
I do, because I think if you take, say, 5 years off, which I would have loved to do,
Me too.
Hang out with my daughter, trying to get back into work and to make, like, not only to be able to get a job and then to get back to where you were before, I think is basically impossible. I took that.
Why?
Because I took a year out for maternity leave in my company, and when I told them, so I got promoted, and then you wait till the financial year to get your pay increase. My pregnancy was announced. All of a sudden, the pay increase wasn't there for me, and so then I went on maternity leave. And when I came back, I was demoted whilst on maternity leave. So, and it was like, don't worry, needless to say, your pay will remain the same. Well, yeah, it never increased, and it has taken now 3 years for me to get back to where I should have been when that pay rise was implemented.
And you worked during that period.
Yeah, so I had to then, because obviously I'd gone back to work after a year, and then the demotion, then I was broken to actually go get another job.
Yeah.
My confidence was completely shot. So I think I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to be out of work for 5 years.
Yeah,
and
say if that was just after that short period of time, 5 years, it would be
So what do you
alien.
guys think? Worth the investment or not worth it, and you should just
for me, I'm very lucky that I've had my mother-in-law and my mum to help me.
And I think a lot of people must have to rely on that, because if you haven't got a massive income, how the heck?
Exactly, but had I not had that, I think I still probably would have gone back to work, because you need to have that foot in the door, because otherwise things change so much. I mean, if I look back when, my son was kind of, he's 8 now, if I look back over the last 8 years, everything's digital now. If you weren't in this industry and you weren't kind of getting trained or whatever, then you'd be lost. And
I could never have got my job if I hadn't gone back after both of them.
Exactly.
This job would not be
No,
available
you
to me
still
now.
need to be out there, and obviously I do work part-time, and I have increased my days or decreased my days depending on whatever, and it is a juggle, but for me it was important.
Yeah, I found that if I didn't go back to work, I wouldn't actually be able to have a mortgage. So we only bought our house last year, but if I don't work, I can't afford a house. If I do work, then it's such a catch-22. And I'm lucky to have parents who have moved to be near me and are helping to look after the children. But my son was in with a childminder for the first 8 months when I first went back to work, and it was really, the cost of that was more than what we were paying in rent.
Yeah.
For.
Well, my two are just starting kind of school and school nursery, so the burden's a bit easier. But for a while, I was paying 500 quid more a month than my mortgage in order to keep them both in nursery part-time, not even full-time.
My mum totally retrained to be able to look after my daughter. So she trained to become like a childcare person.
Did she?
Yeah, and then she ended up, so from that, so she did to become like a childminder. And then from that she went on, they said, would you be interested in fostering? So now she fosters children, but that all came from just wanting to be able to free up her time to be able to look after my daughter for me, because I couldn't afford to send her to nursery for 5 days.
I don't think we'd be able to afford to do it without grandparents being involved somehow. I think each of us have had grandparents involved at some point on the journey. My mum even dropped a day at work herself to be able to help me.
That's the thing, things are so different now. I mean, my mum was a stay-at-home mum. I mean, she did work part-time while we were at school, but for the mainstay, she was at home. She would be there when we came home from school, whatever, and my dad went out to work. And that's what it is. Nowadays, the norm is that both parents work.
Well, because most families need 2 incomes in order to survive, because the cost of living's got more expensive and salaries haven't kept pace. But also, I think the point that you made earlier, careers seem to move on less quickly, or the demands of careers. So my mum took 12 years out went back to work, and within 2 years, was back at the top of her profession.
Yeah.
Like, amazing.
Yeah.
If I took 12 years out, I'd never work again.
Yeah. I think it was more you had a job for life, whereas
Yeah.
you know, social media in our job, it changes like monthly.
It's very fast.
And everything you know now in like 6 months' time, that's not.
I think
what's
that's,
correct
yeah,
anymore.
it's in most professions, isn't it? Whatever profession, you can normally, there's an element of technology involved.
But
that
I
would
would
be-
really hope that when our daughters and sons are parents, they're not as up against it as we are. wouldn't you?
Well, let's hope it
I
comes
hope
full
so.
cycle, yeah.
Although I'm quite willing to help out. I've decided.
Yeah, I think we.
I'd love
I think we'd all better keep
It's like an
fit
extra
so we can
maternity
help
leave.
out. Yeah, exactly.
I think with the older generation, like to my mum, because she could stay at home. I have like members of family who like sort of wince when I tell them how long she goes to nursery for, because she goes on Mondays and Tuesdays, and they'll be like, so she does 8 till 6.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a long.
No,
And I can
they
feel
don't
the
get it, do
judgment.
they?
And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, times are different. Like you could take between 5 and 10 years out.
Yeah.
Like I physically can't, unless we want to like. We could relocate to the other side of the country, completely change our whole lives, move away from all of our family, then yes, we could. But if I want to stay near my family in London, I have to keep the way we're doing things now.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think in the comments below. Does it ever make sense to work to pay nursery fees?